Longevity TAC Dream Vacation 2015 Top Achievers Club call. This is a fun call because we've been holding these for the last 8 months, and this is our congratulations call and instructions of what to do now. My name is Patty Gardner. I'm your Vice President of Sales at Longevity, and I am here on behalf of Bill Andreoli and Steve and Michelle Wallach to congratulate you as one of Longevity's 2015 Top Achiever Club members. We are excited to extend an invitation to you to participate in our 5-day Western Caribbean cruise that sails out of Fort Lauderdale on July 17th. Unfortunately, we'll be back on the 22nd, only 5 short days later. But in between those 5 days, we have the opportunity to visit ports of call such as Belize City and Cozumel, Mexico, and 3 amazing days at sea. It will be a vacation that you have earned and you will not want to miss out on. So the question that you're asking yourself now is, what do I do now? You may even be watching this video and say, did I earn the cruise? So let's get started and take a look at and give you the information that you need to find out all the answers to those questions that you might have. So first, we have been posting all of our points on the Longevity Leadership Board. You can get there by going to longevity.com, selecting Distributor Resources, Leaderboards, and then TAC, Top Achievers Club, will take you to this screen where you can download the flyer, which I highly suggest because there's lots of information on there that will help you, as well as view the points of the top achievers. You can also download that list. It's a little bit easier to find your name. You know, we had over 760 distributors qualify to participate in the TAC vacation, so it might be easier to download the form and then do a search by name to find out how many points you've actually earned, and if you've earned that invitation and at what level of invitation you have received. So let's go ahead and get started and find out what those points will equate to in planning for your trip. So first thing you need to do, again, this is on the flyer. It gives you the information about what the cost is for one person or 2 people, or bringing additional guests or upgrading. So let's start with first identifying how many points you have. We just talked about that. And then the decision of how many people will be attending with you. Are you coming alone? Are you going to bring 1 guest? Would you like to bring more than that? This simple chart is for your first 2 people. So let's go ahead and give an example. Say you earned 4,550 points. According to this chart, and you're coming alone, according to this chart, you would owe $200. Now that covers your cruise in an inside cabin, and your port charges, your taxes, and your gratuities on board the ship. The transportation is your responsibility, and any extra things you might want to purchase while on the ship would be your responsibility. Say you want to bring 2 people, you would just slide over and it would be $1,100 for 2 people to participate in the cruise. You don't add the 2 together, so it's not a total of $1,300. We've already done that math for you. So $1,100 at that point category. You know, I don't have this on the slide, but let's just give you another example. Let's say you earned 5,550 points. That means you would go for free and a guest would be at $900. Another example would be, let's say you earned 8,000 points. You would go for free and your guest is only $400. You can see that we reduce the amount owed every 500 points by $100. So that's how you read that chart for that base trip for the inside cabin. Now, if you've never cruised on a ship before, they have many different cabins. Even within the inside cabin, there's a couple different categories. Then they have ocean view, they have balconies and junior suites and grand suites and family suites, all different kinds of categories. Let's find out, let's say you don't want that inside cabin. You want to go to a promenade or a balcony. you can, it looks like I left the promenade off here, you can upgrade to a promenade cabin, which is like an inside, but it has a view into the promenade. It gives you a bay window, a little bit of extra room, and really livens up the room because you're able to look out into what's going on in the ship. It is a great cabin. The best part is, well, you get to look out on the inside of the ship, and they have parades and dances and all kinds of activities going on down there. You also don't hear the noise from downstairs. So if you're worried about hearing it, you want to go to bed, and they're still partying outside, that's not the case. That is $100 for the promenade or 250 points for that category upgrade. You can also select a balcony upgrade for $250 or 2,500 points. That is per person. So again, if it's one person, it's the $250. If it's two people, it's $500. Now just to note, if you are traveling as a single and you're wanting a balcony upgrade, we can only do that if we find another single that wants to upgrade as well. Otherwise, you would drop down to that promenade or that inside cabin category. Junior suites are available at $400 per person, so a junior suite for two would be $800. Here's an example of what that would look like. Same example as we just used. Inside cabin, you've earned 4,550 points. Your base cruise fee was $200, right? So to upgrade to a balcony, it would be $250 for a total of $450. For two people, same scenario, cruise fee was $1,100. Balcony upgrade is $500 for two for a total of $1,600. Now let's say you want to bring more than just one additional guest. You can add additional guests if there's cabins available. Now each of those cabin categories that I talked about earlier, there's only a limited number of them that will accommodate 3 or 4 people. We do also have a few family suites available, and you can request those. I think we actually only have 2 left. So you can request those, and those accommodate up to 6 people in that category. So your first option, if you want to bring guests, is to have up to 4 people in one cabin. Again, as I mentioned, those are limited. The inside cabin, each additional guest is $400 per person, and a balcony or a suite is $550 per person. Another option is to request another cabin. So 2 people in one cabin and 2 people in another cabin, and that would be $900 per person for the first 2 people. So $1,800 total to request an additional cabin. Now the challenge here is that we cannot guarantee that these cabins will have adjoining rooms, so a door between the cabins. If they're on a balcony, it's likely we can get you next to each other, and you can just open up the outside balcony door between the 2 balconies and access that way. But we do have a limited number of adjoining cabins. Now, if you don't care, maybe it's for some older children, or maybe you're bringing your parents along and that they don't have to be next to each other. That's also an option. So let's take a look at what that would cost. So remember, total points, 4,550 points. Your cruise fee for 2 was $1,100, and you wanted to bring 2 guests. That would be $800 for that inside cabin, so a total due of $1,900. Now let's say you had 2 cabins. You wanted 5 people in 2 cabins, 4,500 points still. The cruise fee is $1,100. Your first guest, because they're staying in the cabin with you, would be $400, and your next 2 guests, which would be in a separate cabin, would be $1,800 for a total of 3,300 points. A little bit confusing, but just draw it out. Identify how many, just write it down, how many people you want to go. Find out what that base cabin is. Are you upgrading? Yes, no, add those points in, and then add in those additional guests. Okay, so now you have an idea of what you want to have, what you're hoping to get. The sooner you can make your decision, the better off we can get your cabin, or the more likely it is that we can get your cabin, because, again, it is limited. So you'll want to fill out the request form as soon as possible. Chances are you have already received the link to this form through email, and that was sent a couple weeks ago. It's being sent by hdolder@youngevity.com. Please check your spam. Go in and make sure that you identify this email address as a valid email address and accepting emails from them, because if you're attending, you're going to get a lot of emails from Hillary, and so you'll want to like that email address. You can also go to the Longevity TAC Dream Vacation Facebook page. I would highly recommend, if you're going, that you go in and like that page, because you'll get all kinds of information there. You can also ask questions there. But it is the posted, pinned post on the top of that page. So it's right there. Click on that and fill out the form. You could also type it into your browser right now, and you'll actually need to get that from the email. I was going to have a link here posted, but we can't do it that way. So you'll need to get it through either one of those formats. You'll also receive another email within the next week with that link for it. We're going to keep sending it out until you fill out that form. Okay, so now that you've identified it and you filled it out and you have received notification from Hillary that you have your cabin, it's time to make your payment. You can do that right from your back office. Now, please don't make your payment until you've received a confirmation from Hillary that we were able to get your cabin. So, for example, say you've requested an inside cabin for 4 people, and she wasn't able to accommodate you. She will send you an option, and if you choose to select that option, then you can go in and make those payments. The sooner you make the payment, the sooner we can get you an actual cabin number and get you registered on the trip. If you've requested upgrades or a cabin that can accommodate more people and we were able to find one, we will not hold it for you very long. So you do need to make those payments. And again, you can make them right from your back office. You can see right there to the right, the picture shows the item codes that are available. TAC 2014 is always the first part of it. PAY, pay, this is used for your base cabin. Now, it's important that you don't go in and make the entire payment all in one category, because we need to know what you're paying for. So TAC 2014 pay is used for the base cruise fee. So in that example, if you were traveling alone and you owed $200, you would enter it under the PAY code. If it's for an upgrade, because you're upgrading to a balcony or a junior suite, you would enter that amount there. Or if it's for an additional guest, it would be TAC 2014 guest, and that is for bringing anyone more than 2. Remember, your first 2 are covered under the pay category. Let's walk through and see what that looks like. So for an example, for 4 people with a balcony upgrade, and you have a total of 4,550 points, cruise fee would be $1,100. Each dollar is a quantity, so you would enter TAC 2014 pay at the quantity of $1,100, or quantity of 1,100, and that would charge you $1,100. The next category item code that you would enter would be your TAC upgrade item code, and you would owe $500, so you would enter quantity $500. You're bringing 2 guests at $800, so TAC 2014 guest, quantity 800, would enter that amount. Your total due at this point would be $2,400, and that would pay for a balcony upgrade for 4 people total. Okay? Okay, all payments are due on October 15th on October 15th, so they need to be paid at that time. Now, we have had several requests. Can I have a payment plan? Can I pay part of them now? The only thing that we can offer as a payment plan is on the base cabin for any amount over $500. So let me give you an example. If you have a cabin upgrade that you're requesting, that has to be paid by the 15th. If you are bringing additional guests, that requires a special cabin. That has to be paid by the 15th. If you owe $500 or less, that has to be paid by the 15th. If you owe more than $500, let's say you're, in that case, in that example, your cabin category was $1,100, you can pay $500 of that, and then have that remaining $600 balance due by the 15th. So I know that's a little confusing. The only thing we are allowed to extend payments on is anything over $500 on the cabin fee, on the base cabin fee. The rest, the rest we have to have paid by the October 15th, because if you decide at the end that you don't want those, we want to be able to give them to somebody else, to offer them to another distributor. And our deadline for turning cabin, identifying cabins or releasing cabins to the cruise is due on November 1st. Now these payments are non-refundable. So if you have a cabin upgrade or you're bringing additional guests and you make that payment and then you change your mind, we will have already paid the cruise line. So they are a non-refundable and cannot be transferred to somebody who has not earned the cruise. They can be transferred to somebody who maybe we denied and we said, hey, I'm sorry, somebody else requested the cabin before you. If one becomes available, then we can transfer it that way. But for all purposes, they are non-refundable once you make them. So it's important that once you have selected this and requested it and you make your payment, that you know for sure this is what you want to have happen. Okay, once you've made your payment, it's time to get you your cabin. And in order for us to do that, we need to have some information. We need your legal name as it appears on your passport. We need your date of birth. We need the country that the passport is issued from. And then there's some miscellaneous information that we need, like your shirt size and a few other questions that will help us with some of the giveaways that we will have on the ship. That's it. Now you're registered. Once we get that information, we get it to the cruise line, you will have a cabin number. You will be able to go to Royal Caribbean, log into an account, customize all of the rest of your trip. You can pre-order drink packages, spa packages, excursions, complete the pre-registration form, all of that once we have all of this information. So that's all it takes to get registered, is that making that first decision of what you want, getting through that payment process, and then finally getting a final registration. So that is the TAC portion of it. Now I'm sure you still have some extra questions. We've been getting them in. So we're going to identify some of those questions that have been coming through. The first one are travel arrangements. You are responsible for your transportation to the ship and home. The ship sails out of Fort Lauderdale. So you have three options of airports: Fort Lauderdale Airport, Miami International, and Palm Beach Airport. And you can see the distance. It's 3 miles to Fort Lauderdale. So if you can fly into there, that is your best option. Miami International, sometimes you can get some less expensive flights going into there. I know Southwest flies into there, which is great because you get 2 bags free, right? But keep in mind that their transfer fees are more expensive to Miami and Palm Beach as per Fort Lauderdale. You can take a taxi to Fort Lauderdale for 20 bucks. So that's a quick transfer as per to Miami, which will cost you quite a bit more. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your airfare. You do need to, as I said, the ship sails on the 17th. You need to be able to board the ship no later than 2 o'clock on that date. Otherwise, you won't have time to get through customs and get registered and get on board ship. Our first event actually starts at 2 o'clock on the ship. So you can look at, it depends where you're flying from. You may be able to fly that same day, or you may have to come in a day early or take a red eye and get to the ship a little bit early. Now, as far as going home on the 22nd, when you wake up in the morning, the ship will have been docked. Chances are you can, there's a couple options. The cruise line suggests that you don't plan your flight out prior to 1 o'clock at Fort Lauderdale, even though the ship is docked when you wake up. You do have the option of carrying off your bags and getting to the airport on your own. So they usually start letting those guests off about 7 o'clock. It's a pretty easy process. It is crowded. If you have a lot of luggage, it's kind of a hassle because you're dragging your luggage with you. You still have to go through customs as you get off the ship. I've taken as early as a 9 o'clock flight out but that is a little bit risky. So anyway, kind of keep that in mind as you are planning your flight out and your flight in, whether you would need a hotel and or not. So okay, let's go to the next part. Frequently asked questions. What documentation do I need? You will. We prefer that you have a passport, and the reason is if anything happens while you're in Mexico or Belize, then you can't get out if you don't have a passport. It's very, very difficult to get out. So if somebody got hurt at home and you need to fly home, you need to have a passport to be able to change that. You can get by with a driver's license or a legal document and a birth certificate, but we would prefer that you have a passport. Another question, can I do a name change? So I'm signing up now. I've got my, in my case, I have my husband as my guest, and all of a sudden he has a business trip. He just can't go. He has to stay home. You can do a name change, and they will charge us for that name change after December 1st. So anything after December 1st, we would pass that charge on to you. So right now, if you all things going along, that charge is anywhere from $25 to $50, depending how close we are to sailing. So that kind of gives you an idea. As far as airline, you know that they don't allow you to make that change. So once you've purchased that airline for that guest and they need to make a change, they do require you to purchase another ticket. All right, another question. If I have more than one account in our family, can we combine points? Okay, this is a trick question. So the general answer is no, you can't combine points. And I'm going to explain that in a lot of detail. Okay, so let's say my husband has an account and he has earned 8,000 points. I have an account and I've earned 5,500 points. In this scenario, that my husband's account has earned a free trip and a balcony upgrade, right? Because that was 2,500 points. My account has earned a free trip, but it has not earned the balcony upgrade. So it would cost me $250 to upgrade to the balcony. My husband and I can share a cabin together, and we've earned a cruise for two for $250 with a balcony upgrade. So we haven't really combined points together. We've each taken our accounts and paid for our individual cruises. Let's say we have a third account. My daughter has an account, but they're not going, and she has 3,000 points in her account. We cannot use those points to pay for my balcony upgrade. We can't even use those points at all. That person must attend in order to use those points. Let's change it, and I didn't prepare this on a slide, but let's change this and say my account actually only has 2,000 points on it. I can't add my 2,000 to my husband's 8,000 to get 10,000, which qualifies for a cruise for two, free. You cannot combine points that way. So if you have an account that didn't qualify, earned under 3,000 points, that cannot be added to another account to increase the point value, okay? And you cannot use an account that you are not on. And if you are on more than one account, you still can't use it because you have to be the main person going. So if I have an account, and let's say I share the account with my child, my daughter, I still can't use that account because I'm already using myself on my account. So we cannot combine accounts or points on accounts in order to achieve that. Okay, this is another way of looking at it, just another example. So my husband earned 10,000 points, right? So he has earned a cruise for two in an inside cabin. I've earned 5,500 points, so I've earned a cruise for one. So we've really earned 3 inside cabins, right? So you can do that. You can say, I want to bring another guest, right? So my husband can say, I'm bringing a guest. The wife can say, I'm taking a cruise for one. That gives you 3 inside people. 2 options here. One, that third person can room with the husband and wife at that inside cabin, category, or they can request another cabin and pay for a fourth person at that $900 for the additional guest. So now I have 2 cabins. We'll room the husband and wife together instead of making them stay in separate cabins, right? And it'll cost $900 for that fourth person to come. That is the way around it. So again, you cannot combine points to increase the point value, but the husband in this case has 10,000 points. They're entitled to bring an additional guest. The wife is entitled to bring an additional guest, and we'll just work out the rooming so everybody's rooming in the place that they want, as long as the husband and the wife are the ones that are attending. I know it's confusing, and I apologize, but it's the extra accounts are the ones that are a little bit difficult, okay? Transferring and gifting points. I've earned points. I've earned 5,500 points. I have a free cabin, and I can't go. Can I give it away? Can I gift it to another person or another distributor? Can I raffle it away? Can I hold a contest within my team and allow somebody else to go? The answer is no, they cannot be transferred or gifted. The person whose name is on the account must be the one who attends. Got it? The person whose name's on the account must be the person who attends. So what happens to those points? Can they be transferred to the next TAC incentive? No, they can't. It is only for this, so therefore those points are forfeited in this case. All right, I think that is all of the questions that we've had, the most predominant questions that we've had come in. I hope that you have found this helpful. We're going to go ahead and post it and email it out. If you have general questions, the first place to look is on the back of the TAC flyer that you can download. Most of the questions that have come in have all been addressed right there. You can also ask on that Facebook page. That there's a lot of resources there, and we'll be able to answer your questions. You can also email hdolder@youngevity.com, and she will get back with you. Please do not call customer service to ask your questions. There's so many possible questions, and each of the agents is difficult to train them. So please email your questions to Hillary. If you have a personal question and just not a general question, you'll need to email Hillary at her email, and she will get back to you. I hope, again, this has been a helpful training for you. It is time to start the countdown. Can you believe it's only 111 days until you cruise on this amazing vacation with Youngevity? We really hope that you will choose to cruise with us. And again, if you have any questions, please get registered right away so we can get your cabin all set up. But if you have any questions, post them on Facebook. We'll get back to you, or some of the other frequent cruisers will be able to answer those questions. Email Hillary. She'll be able to answer those questions, and we will get you registered. So we hope to see you on Youngevity's TAC Dream Vacation. Thank you.